Hello, friends. There was a girl who never cast a shadow. She was an ordinary girl who lived in an ordinary town with ordinary parents and an ordinary life. Nothing in her life indicated that she was born with anything other than ordinary abilities. However, people began to notice something strange about her when she turned 7 years old. When she played with her friends during recess at school, they noticed that she didn't have a shadow. At first, everyone thought it was a weird trick of the light. But after a while, they realized that she didn't cast a shadow, no matter where the sun was or how the light fell. The children were frightened and told their parents about it, but their parents just laughed and said it was nothing but nonsense. However, one day, the girl's classmates invited her to play hide and seek during recess. The girl happily agreed. She loved playing this game. However, this time, when she hid, no one could find her. They looked everywhere, but they couldn't find her anywhere. Finally, when they gave up and went back to the classroom, she appeared in the doorway. They asked her why she had stayed hidden, and she replied innocently that she had been hiding behind a tree. But when they went out to look, there was no trace of her there. This happened several times, and the children became more and more frightened. They didn't understand what was going on, but they stopped inviting her to play. The girl didn't understand what had happened. She missed playing with her friends very much, but no one would play with her anymore. One day, the girl couldn't hold back her tears. She went to the schoolyard alone and cried. She cried out, "Why do you all hate me? What did I do to deserve this?" Suddenly, a boy from her class appeared beside her. He had heard her crying and had come to see what was wrong. The girl told him about everything that had happened. She told him about her shadowless existence and how her classmates wouldn't let her play with them. The boy listened patiently and then said, "Don't be sad. You're not cursed. It's just that you don't have a shadow because you were born with the sun." The girl asked him, "What do you mean?" The boy explained, "You know when someone is born, if they're born with the sun, they don't have a shadow. It doesn't mean that they're cursed. It's just that they're gifted." The girl asked, "Gifted? How?" The boy said, "You can walk through walls." The girl was surprised. She had never thought of it that way before. She didn't feel cursed. She felt special. She was so happy that she could finally understand her difference. And from that day on, she was never sad again. People whispered and gossiped about the girl who could walk through walls, but she didn't care. She knew the truth, and that was enough for her. Many years passed. The girl grew up and became a young woman. One day, she decided to travel around the world. She wanted to see all the beautiful places and experience all the adventures that life had to offer. She traveled to many countries and had many wonderful experiences. She met many people and made many friends. And everywhere she went, people whispered and gossiped about the girl who had no shadow and could walk through walls. But one day, while she was traveling through a dense forest, she came across a clearing. And in the middle of the clearing stood a tall ancient tree, and under the tree was a small cottage. The girl decided to rest for a while and approached the cottage. As she got closer, she heard a voice. The voice was weak and seemed to be calling out for help. The girl stopped and listened. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. It was a man's voice, and he seemed to be in great pain. The girl hesitated for a moment, but then she decided to go to the cottage. She knocked on the door, but there was no answer. So she did the only thing she could do. She walked right through the wall and entered the cottage. When she did, she saw a man lying on the floor. He was hurt and scared. The girl immediately rushed to his aid and helped him up. The man was very grateful and explained that he had been trapped in his cottage for days because his leg was broken and he couldn't get out. The girl didn't hesitate. She knew she had to help him, even though she had never met him before. She carried him to his bed and took care of him until he was better. The man was very touched by her kindness and asked her name. "My name is Alara," she replied. "And yours?" "My name is Dorian," he said. "I am the guardian of this forest, and I want to give you a gift for your kindness." Alara smiled. "No, thank you, Dorian. I don't need anything." But Dorian insisted, and when he recovered, he gave Alara a beautiful necklace. It was made of silver and had a pendant in the shape of a sun. Alara was very grateful and put on the necklace. At that moment, she felt a surge of power. She understood that the reason she did not have a shadow and could walk through walls wasn't a curse, but a gift. And she had been chosen to protect the forest and its people.